Okay, this is late night, but this is going on the official EAW YouTube channel. All right.
With a shirt. You alive? Are you alive?
You were definitely not alive.
Good test.
Yeah.
Not nervous. Just hearing me and other voices in your
Very
head.
close. Testing, 1, 2, 3.
And other voices in your head.
Howdy, and welcome to the Equestria and Harmonycon panel. So let me go just quickly. I guess we'll just get started here. So, if you don't know already, we are Equestria at War. We're a mod for a game called Hearts of Iron 4. And we basically came to Harmonycon to go do an introduction. Granted, I don't know how experienced you all are with the mod, so obviously.
Raise your hand if you played Equestria at War before.
So plenty of you.
Most of you.
So this was meant to be an introduction. So this is, oh my gosh, I don't think I need this. I talk loud enough. I don't know. We're gonna see in the recording. But yeah, very obviously this is an introduction, so there's gonna be some stuff that you probably already know. But hey, we'll have some in-jokes, we'll have some fun. And hey, there is some new content that you guys can see. Granted, there was some revelations earlier on, but I will get to that when we get to that. But right now, pass it over to my friend over there. Oh, actually, yeah, we'll introduce ourselves a little bit later. But you're good to go.
Hearts of Iron 4 is a World War II graphic strategy game made by Paradox Studio Development, or Paradox Development Studio. Basically, you just choose a nation, control its politics, industry, technology, armed forces, and the very course of human history. Depending on the player's actions and decisions, as you can see, games can get pretty ludicrous and out of control.
So, who are we? Well, I am Ironsides, or as known online as Meser. I am a scripter for the mod. I'm basically the jockey that gets all the fun parts of the mod working. I am in charge of the Southwest Civil War, Equestrian Civil War rework, which I will be discussing a little bit later. Outside of the mod, I do stream on Twitch, Ironsides Haunts. If you ever want to see me go ramble and stuff, it's right there. Passing it to my friend.
I am the engineer of Playing Fortress 2. No, I'm just kidding. My name's Moonatik. I'm an artist, well, mainly an artist for the mod. I've been contributing for 6 years or thereabouts. Mostly with art. My specialty is gay bat ponies, but unfortunately there's not enough of those in the mod yet. I don't know if there's any in the mod.
There's gay bat ponies in the mod, don't worry.
Okay, good. I was working on that.
And then finally,
There can always be more.
True.
there could always be more.
And last but not least, I am Blue Ardent VA. Y'all see me about the place here and there. I am a voice actor, a writer, a non-profit director, and an EAW dev writer. We actually also have a fourth speaker here with us, who is also a voice actor.
Oh, is this gonna work? Wait, what?
What does this say?
Sign in on YouTube.
That's not confirm you're a bot. Thanks, YouTube.
Yeah.
We've gotten hit twice by Google. Oh, of course the audio doesn't work. Amazing things happening. First panel, by the way. Certainly hope I've at least keep you entertained so far.
Only the most professional.
You gotta say
Don't look at them. Don't look at them. Look at me. Look at me instead.
Your audio was set to Hasbro and I saw it. Oh, okay.
May I click on the speaker?
As always, a German comes to the rescue of the team.
There we go. There we go. Hit that play button.
Equestria War is a Hearts of Iron 4 mod that seeks to recreate the fantastical world of Equestria from the My Little Pony franchise with a bleaker setting, rife with both nuances and its own plentiful twists, such as the notion of industrialization, far-reaching corruption, and an ample amount of political intrigue. Check it out at equestriaatwar.com.
Thank you, Alistair Duncan.
Was that
Anyway, hopefully the next video works better. Otherwise, whatever. Anyway, next slide.
That is a nice argument.
That was a nice argument.
And we did actually get his actual voice actor to do this.
Shit, really?
That was actually Senator Armstrong's voice actor.
That was him.
That was
Anyway, welcome to the world of Equestria. As you can see, we've taken a little bit of liberties to what the canonical map is, and kind of taken it to a more extended degree. We have Equus, which is essentially what your recognizable is. We have Griffonian, home of the Griffins, amongst many other species. And the same with Zebrica, our newest continent. Ugh. We have even more content that's not finished yet, but we're working on it. Thanks, Lois.
You might be thinking, I don't play grand strategy games, I don't care for military stuff or war stuff, why should Equestrian War interest me? Fair enough, and I'll tell you. It's because there's a lot more going on than just war stuff. There's more going on than just a video game. It's basically, not to toot our own horn, the whole point is to toot our own horn, it's a fandom unto itself. Thousands of images on FinFiction, almost 1,000 stories under our own tag. It's become such a thing on FinFiction that they gave us our own tag. And there's 2,000 members in our group, literally millions of words written from every genre you can possibly think of. I have friends, I think in this room, who basically have zero interest in grand strategy at all, but they've set their tabletop campaigns and such in Equestria War-inspired settings. Now, it feels broad, we have data to prove it. This was from a Stay the Herd a few years ago. We do these regular surveys of our player base. Found that most of the people who got into Equestria War were bronies or fans of MLP first, and they got into the game through their interest in Pony. But there's still a pretty significant chunk of players who got in from the grand strategy world. Many people on the team as well who got in from the grand strategy world into.
The Griffin pipeline is real.
Unlike the Senator, we didn't make this the fuck up.
It's true. We have actual sources.
And in the meantime, I guess I'll finally take the microphone here.
Actually, really happy.
So, in the meantime, we've hit some accomplishments. Over 200,000 subscribers on the Steam Workshop, so that's impressive. We have over 20,000 members on our Discord, which you can join on one of the pamphlets that are hopefully still on the tables, hopefully. Actually, just this last year, we were the top Hearts of Iron 4 mod in the top 100 mods for ModDB, which was super impressive. And finally, we even got to send cake to the developers themselves. They really enjoyed it.
We didn't just send a cake, we also sent better code. Well, I said we, but the scripters made code for the game that the Paradox developers were like, hey, your code is actually better than our code, can we use it in the vanilla game? We're just that good.
God bless you.
So, where's the high quality content? Which are the most interesting countries? Where are my favorite characters from the show? What does this world have to offer? And of course, most important question, where can I put my OC in the mod?
Fair enough, let me tell you.
Let's start with the most recognizable content.
Welcome to Equestria.
So, obviously, we've adapted what is the canonical map of the show. Pull it up. Sorry.
And we've basically been able to be played on the game. So you can destroy it however you like.
Build it, destroy it,
Build it.
whatever you need. But, of course, let's start with the most recognizable assets. The United Ponies Alliance, aka your main characters. I'm kidding. But yes, so we have, obviously, what everybody knows. We have Equestria, we have Celestia, we have the Crystal Empire with Cadence. We also have Jet Set, in case any of you guys remember Jet Set from the show, who is running the colony of New Maryland, which is over in Griffonia, actually. But these guys are essentially, they're kind of, I do joke when I say main character, but they're the most recognizable thing from the mod, and obviously kind of everybody who comes, at least from the show, kind of gravitates to this first.
It's kind of important to have Equestria in a mod called Equestria at War.
It is
Just
true.
because.
We even have an achievement where you can play Equestria and be at war, and you get an achievement. Anyway. But yes, so as Equestria, you basically sit as what it is in the show. Obviously, what we aren't able to explain here is we take a little bit of a divergence from the actual show's timeline. So around season, I think 6 or 7, we start to diverge from how the show goes. Basically, in our timeline, the Friendship School does not actually succeed due to the Changelings not being a proper part of it. But essentially, Equestria is still in its idyllic state, which is a problem because Equestria, well, you know, is at war.
It needs to.
But yeah,
The wolves are at the door and they're not ready for it, basically.
they're not ready for it.
The
So,
wolves shall eat well this winter.
yeah, pretty much.
The whole idea is that they're peaceful, harmonic, but yeah, harmony's boring, in my opinion. So what you're really going to do if you're playing as Equestria is go to the Equestrian Civil War. You know, you've got the lame, the passive, the boring Princess Celestia against the awesome, cool, and epic Nightmare Moon. Yeah. Basically, the way the Civil War comes about is when the cool and epic Nightmare Moon incites a rift in equestrian society between the three tribes you all know and the Bat Ponies. The intent originally of the good hearted people is to make a better society for all ponies, but now everyone sees an opportunity and can make something out of that. The whole country explodes, million little breakaway factions, and if it gets too much for the boring lame princess, she may have to take extreme measures. It's fun. And inside the Civil War itself, there's another Civil War down in the southeast. It's east, right? They always get
The
this.
Southeast.
Okay, cool.
Don't worry, you're not the first. There's many people getting switched out.
Really?
It has our newest content, the Celestial Resistance, led by Daring Do down there. But there's a bunch of other stuff going on. There's the main Nightmares faction way in the middle. There's those little communists up north. And Daring Do's old nemesis, Dr. Cavalleron, in his own little state. Yeah. Celestial Resistance, newest content. If they win the Civil War in the southeast, then they react to the dynamic situation in Equestria. So if Equestria, as on the left there, if they've gone Solar Empire, they may join them or resist against them, depending on what the player chooses. If Equestria has succeeded, they obviously want to stick with Equestria. But say Equestria has gone conquered by Lulamoon, conquered by someone else, someone who isn't harmonic, then their whole thing is that they have to resist against whoever it was that's taken over.
But you know what's most important? We got Quibble.
True.
We love Quibble in here.
Yeah.
Can I get it? Yippee! Let's go.
Please tell me you have the event with him where Daring Do just gets fucking floored.
Oh,
True.
yeah,
Can you have that in
absolutely.
this, please?
Not up here, but that's in there.
It's a great fucking event.
We chose the better one where he's, you know, with his wife. Nah, nobody ships him with anybody else. Good.
It
Well, yeah,
is
like, yeah, we
showing
don't
that
care
the
about it.
player decided to do something about it.
But to add on to it, if you choose to resist, you basically get an option of people to basically take up the banner of resistance, as Daring Do doesn't exactly retire, but kind of steps into the background of things. Here we basically have, an interesting cast of individuals. We have, your local Mormon. Let's be honest, it is a local Mormon. We have a harmonic bat. We have everybody, the chief that everybody loves. And we have that guy who was conquered but is also here again. It's always interesting things between Daring Do and Cavallero.
We mentioned earlier that the wolves were at the door in Equestria. These aren't the wolves.
These aren't the wolves. You can tell, we originally had this planned for 45 minutes until we realized this was ready for an hour. So, I'm going to talk about my content. Welcome to the Southwest. I'm going to grab this microphone. So, welcome to the Southwest. This content is not actually in the mod. We have just started kind of the project and development of it because the current Southwest content, coming from somebody who actually really wanted to go rework this content, the current content is not so good, at least for the SCS end of it, which is the Confederation Southern States as it currently is. It has one joke. The joke is that it's a confederacy. It's not funny. So, I have decided to go with my friend and co-dad JPEG to go rework the region. So, we have added one new nation, the Rock Union, based in, could you guess, Rockville.
Re-added.
We have Las Pegasus, which is still Las Pegasus. We are keeping a lot of elements. We're still keeping a good amount of elements from it, so don't worry about that. We have a completely updated Buffalo Chiefdom, both for the Civil War and for the non-Civil War branches that JPEG is working on. He's actually already completed one in the past, which is amazing to see. But yeah, so the Civil War specifically is led by Chiefess Strongheart right there. We've also been able to rework all the portraits, which has been great because the old portraits had their problems. But what I care about most though granted, I care about the entire project the most. I am personally reworking both Los Países and SCS. So SCS is now, instead of the Confederation of Southern States, it is now the Southern Corporate State. It is led by Petroleum Rock, that old-looking guy from there. Bonus points if anybody can get the reference. So instead of it basically being your Southern Republic whatever reference, it is now a corporate state led by your good old business leaders. Because I'm sure everybody wants to hear about them right now, but...
It's House. It's Mr. House.
No, it's not Rockefeller.
He's somewhere
Rockefeller is
else.
actually still in it, but he is not taking a leadership role. So that is there. But on top of that, we have...
Who's that guy on the top?
Who's that guy at the top? Oh, I wonder who is that guy at the top? I wonder. Who is he?
I wonder what his name
I think it's Scout.
Could be Scout. Who knows? But in general, we have an entire cast of basically people you're going to be able to see here: Strongheart, Igneous, the Elder, which is actually in the current content as well, and then on my side. We have essentially, we have a general reference to our good old TF2 friends. We have Colt Lighting, son of the current Colt Arms company, which is a prominent company within the what is now the Southern Corporate State. We have, anybody get it? All right, I'm going to ask people. Can people name who the bottom two are? I'm curious. I've been doing this test with on the server.
Fuck.
You?
No, the one on the left is from the comics.
True. Can you give his name?
Longhorn.
Longhorn? Correct. Can anybody name the bottom? I would be genuinely impressed. Nobody's guessed it so far.
Dude, that's cool.
Fucker, I couldn't get that on the server either.
Nobody on the server's got it. You got a guess?
Fluttershy.
Not Fluttershy. Fluttershy is in Equestria, if you can believe.
You said it's on the Discord server.
And no, nobody on the Discord server has been able to answer it. Nobody knows outside the dev team.
This is the most cryptic teaser. Bullshit.
Yeah. I don't know. You know what? I could reveal it now. So that is going to be Vignette Valencia. Now, I wonder if anybody can remember where she's from. Equestria Girls? Yep, you got it.
Equestria War.
So I have actually, so you are the first people to actually have known who that is. But yes, she is going to be here. She's going to be adapted. Anyway, I've talked too much about myself.
And you see, if nobody knows that she's from Equestria Girls, we can just kind of claim her as our own OC.
That is
Easy.
true.
It wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
These are the wolves I mentioned earlier.
In this continuity, Chrysalis is defeated and retreats. But unlike in the show, here she basically industrializes and militarizes the Changeling hives. And she wants revenge. There is no better revenge than 25 tons and high explosive bombs.
Yes.
Of course, not everyone wants it. Thorax here does not want that. Thorax does not care, allegedly. What happens in the course of history is up to y'all to decide. Quick raise of hands, who wants her to win?
Axe Chrysalis.
Do you like Pax Chrysalis?
And quick raise of hands, who wants her to lose?
Also fun.
Fair enough, I'll tell you.
Also fun too. But basically, it's up to the player to decide whether or not she goes through with her revenge, or if she is horrible in some way. But either way, she wants revenge.
Or perhaps you want to go take a new route. Then our little buddy in the center there, who you might not recognize, or maybe you do, Thorax and his little brother Pharynx. Thorax can decide to go change the changelings in their own direction. You can choose basically to engage in a very fun little civil war, which is definitely a little bit of a challenge, but if you do that, then you get your own little paths to go try to spread harmony on your own, since usually that path ends up causing some fun items for other nations on it.
I thought that was
In many cases, though, a great war will ensue between the changelings and the ponies. It is inevitable, most of the time. Chrysalis will send forth her armies to conquer the ponies, the entire continent, and whoever stands in her way. There will be casualties on both sides. But whoever wins, again, is however up to the player and how basically good you are at the game. Y'all have anything to add on to this?
I will say, we will have a Q&A at the end of this, so the very excited guy in the back, we will save the questions for the end.
Anyways, there is a wild card on the Equestrian continent, a nation unaffiliated whoever Equestria hold the changing lands, and that is Stalingrad. I was expecting it to get a laugh from the people who aren't familiar with it because the concept of Soviet ponies in my Equestria is inherently a little bit silly. It makes sense because the mod's origins were as like a little role-playing group amongst like Russians, very nostalgic for the Soviet Union, but it does serve an important gameplay purpose.
Save us from the communists.
So this is the Bishka. The plaintiffs are working there, but not to be denied.
They formed the physical base of a entirely new vision for Equestrian society, born from the mind of the very pretty mare up there with the beret. So her name is Caramel Marks, wonder who she's based off of. And true. I heard you. In any case, whatever society they want to build, they have to deal with all the issues of the present, agriculture, industrialization, their own political turmoil, and the fact that they're just a tiny little part of Equestria broken away. And oh yes, there's changelings banging on the door of Equestria. What they want to do depends on who you pick. They can ally with Equestria against the changelings, they can realize Equestria is weak and go to war against them, or they can pussy out and just unify with Equestria and abandon all their principles. Like true leftists. It's fine, I'm a lefty. I can make that joke.
Are we ready for Yak?
Yeah.
Smash! Yak smash! Yak smash! Alright. So, also part of our newest update, alongside with Celestial Resistance, has been an update to both Yakyakistan and Yakyakistan. We're gonna keep a good beat going. So, the Yaks essentially sit just north of the Crystal Empire, just like in the show. They are, if you would so delightfully click, they have basically two major options between, obviously, Yakyakistan and Yakyakistan, which are, oh, can you click? I need the latest. I need the latest up. There we go. So, the feud is between the top two there, Prince Rutherford and Prince Bradford. They both have differing visions for how Yak must steal the world. Steal the world. Deal with the world. But obviously, they're not the only two. We have Yona. Come on, no claps for Yona. There we go.
You don't clap for Yoda. You smash for Yoda. Thank you.
So would you say these Yaks smash the world?
Yes, they do. They do smash the world. It is after dark. On top of that, outside the more recognizable faces, we do have Jungvar, our communist candidate for the Yaks, who is helping out our good friend Rutherford here, you know, obviously for his own ends. And then on the Bradford side of the equation, we have Star Mountain, a crazy Savarian, which is Stallion from Stallion Exile. She's very complicated. If you want play the content, you can go figure out what's up with her. But if you want it more straightforward, you can have our good friend Conquer. We're geniuses here. We have Conquer, who is essentially, straightforward. He wants to expand. He wants to expand the Yaks out. He wants to do his thing. And then on top of it, we have an entire clans mechanic, which is tied to that war. Basically, before the war even kicks off, you have to go manage diplomacy with the clans to basically get them to either your side, or if you don't manage them, they'll flip to the other side. And of course, we have our amazing writers have developed only the best descriptions for all the technology for the Yaks, such as Yaks Club. That is all tech. Well, okay, not all tech, but a lot of these special techs have amazing writing there. Anyway, we're on the good.
Of course, there are other powers on quiz with their own nations, armies, lore, and characters. But for the time purposes of giving too many of the other content that we wish to show, we have to leave that for y'all to later, essentially.
Can't they have to leave you wanted for something.
They are cool with them, I can't testify to that.
And on top of that, there's just Equus kind of is very much the canonical content. So there's a lot of characters to be able to kind of explore and find if you want to go figure them out. I wonder what that spooky guy in the bottom right.
Griffonia, homeland of the Griffins.
Birds. We got more Griffin lovers. There we go.
Squawk if you love Griffins.
Oh, I can totally forgot to shout out my good man Sombra on the last slide. You know, you gotta bounce me on the head for that. All right, so the titular kind of main nation of Griffonia, it comes from the lore. Basically, we started out with the lore of the idea of the kind of Grover, which is the original emperor who had the idol Boreas. In our timeline, essentially there has been now there's 6 Grovers, but 5 Grovers that have ruled. And essentially, after the 5th one, essentially the idol Boreas was lost to a Cyclops because the second one had given it. There's a lot of lore. You should definitely go play Griffonia and learn that. But yes, so essentially in the practical, we have the sickly Grover the 5th right next to his little boy Grover the 6th right there. Grover the 5th is not long for this world. I'm sorry, folks, he is not long. So a regency is incoming between those 2 lovely candidates on the bottom, Gabriella and Archon Eros. They are intent on molding that little kid to be the Emperor of Griffonia. Unfortunately, they have a big problem in the form of the Griffonian Republic, formed from essentially a civil war that happened between the Empire and an uprising there. They have exiled themselves off the Cloudberry up there, and let's just say they're not content to stay there. Well, they could be, depending on how you take them. We only have Komarski up there, who's kind of the face of the entire revolution, but trust me when I say there is a lot of leader options for the Griffonian Empire, a lot to explore there, but it's inevitable that these 2 powers will essentially end up in conflict with each other, and likely allied with a little nation down there, in the red there, which is just off screen. So why don't we look at the rest of Griffonia, shall we?
As all of y'all can see, and for those who have played, this is only a fraction of the developed nations that are playable, all with their own characters, lore, backstories, and pretty much their own armed forces and everything else.
Griffonia's got a whole lot to do, and because of the time limit of our time here, we cannot go into all of them. But like I said, absolutely play all of it. Well, okay, maybe not all of it.
Play all of it. Spend all your life away on these.
That is true.
How many
Spend all your
hours?
life.
How many hours have we already cranked into this on an average daily basis?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Whoa, we got some real fans here.
But
All
yes,
right.
the sheer massive amount of quality and quantity of content here is too immense. And I do encourage y'all to go check out on our wiki page for the full extent and details of the world building it has.
So we're making good time. We could do a quick run through. So to kind of name some of the majors, don't worry, it won't be too long. Aqualia. So that was the nation I was pointing to earlier. They have basically one big option. Do the Republicans win or not? They're having their own Republican issues. And if the king wins, well, actually, it's the illusion of grand choice. Because no matter who you choose, both the Republicans and the monarchists are going to end up declaring war on Griffonia anyway. It's just, how cozy are you with the Republicans in the north?
Also, they're French.
They are French. It's very scary. And then, of course, where there are French, there are Italians and Wingbirdy. The one in the middle? Which one? You mean the small white one in the middle? We're not going to talk about that. We're not going to talk about that. But yes, we have Wingbirdy, which is actually not led by that guy there, but he is probably the most famous icon from him, Piccolini. Wonder where he got his inspiration from. But yes, Wingbirdy basically has a whole Carthenian pact, and they can also play a hand in the giant, let's say, battle royale that is Western Griffonia. But of course, maybe you like ponies. Well, there's more ponies out in the east. The entire River Coalition, essentially a band of multiple different nationalities of ponies who have gathered together for their defense against, the Griffins. A whole lot of history. Once again, go back to the Griffonian Empire. It explains a lot about why this continent is how it is. But they essentially gather together, and you have a lot of different options. Once again, Griffonia has so much depth of options. I highly encourage you to try it. Anyway, we're going to move. I love River Swirl.
Hey.
River Swirl.
We love River Swirl. And finally, we have our latest continent, Zebrica or Zebrica.
Zebrica.
Zebrica. How am I pronouncing it now here, huh?
Zebrica.
You can beat me down.
I have to write that word down 500 times.
Yes, you can. Yes, I can.
It has my favorite country in the mod, one of the most content dense, Hippogriffia. Basically, the central idea of Hippogriffia is that, unlike the show, we would change a lot about it. It's a lot bigger, it's more than just Mount Aris. And when the Storm King came knocking, they didn't just shoot you under the ocean, they actually went to the fort against him.
After 2 years.
Yeah, but you know, it took them long enough.
Wars take a while, if you could imagine.
Yeah. Point being, they now face the rest of the world and they have to figure out how they want to deal with it. There's the more so historical canon path featuring characters you recognize, Novo, Skystar. They're all about nice, harmonic things like ensuring welfare for their people, protecting harmony against the evils of the world, and whacking crystals on the back of the head with a baton. You know, cool stuff. Harmonic ruling, but harmony in Hippogriffia is being challenged by a new faction called Aris First, led by these two guys. The fellow on the left there is a bloke called Rathwood. He was the guy in Equestrian Volcano who initially wanted to go underwater and hide away from the rest of the world because he hates foreigners. That's his main thing. That's the one thing that motivates him. He has his own path. It's a path, I'll say that, to be polite.
It's a fun path.
It can be, I'm sure it can be, because he's having to share his alliance of convenience with this flamboyant fascist who loves planes, Crack Lightning, who has okay, I don't think I'm allowed to say this. The evil path is more fun. It's fun to be the bad guy, okay? You fucking establish the most horrific, tyrannical state over all of North Zebrica, and it's fun. But it's not the most fun path in the country. The most fun path in the country.
Crack Lightning is the most eligible bachelor for both mayors and stallions.
True.
We got a
But I prefer this one.
Yeah,
I prefer this one.
do not condone the imaginary violence.
Fish. Yeah, you seem to already know who we're talking about. Poseidon, my beloved, the best, the most stable leader of all. Dedicated to building a new society, building the world of tomorrow today is the easiest way to put it. They want to build a futuristic society, free from all the divides of class, of race, of poverty, removing all of that. And they realize the only way that they can bring this vision for peace is through force!
The only language that the imperialists and the reactionaries of the world understand is force! The reactionaries of the world will tremble in fear as the new world is born in the wrath of nuclear fire in the international proletarian revolutionary war!
I get this. I spent way too long building this damn last part. So if you dig too deep, there is one more familiar item. Woo!
Singing fun.
Oh my God. I'll leave you guys to go figure out what they is.
We love that path.
Actually, wait, I forgot. So, welcome to North Zebrica, the violent neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a ghetto.
So, it's not a ghetto. We're not going to call it a ghetto, folks. So we lead with the Custodian Republic. So essentially, it is probably the preeminent zebra.
Oh,
you already did that. Oh no, we broke it.
You broke it.
Oh, we broke it. No.
Guess we gotta start over.
Yeah, we're starting over.
Sunblaster Pro. He was too cool.
He was too cool for school.
Like sabotage.
No, we gotta go on.
The truth is, it was all right from the start.
Can we give a shout out for the amazing internet connection in Cumberland?
There's the.
Alright, you gonna load?
Hey, this is what I see after the newest updates. It's just a fucking loading screen.
We're still on time. We're still on time.
Please wait, we're loading and we just don't know what went wrong.
We're so worrying that this was going to happen, and now the nightmare is playing out. No.
The nightmare is playing it.
My favorite stallion is Soren, who's sitting right over there. I love him. Okay, wait. I think things are loading. Please.
I think we got it.
Actually, Anyway, we've definitely lost some time. So, as I said, Trap Terra's there. Voltage is up there. There's even more Zebras, if you can believe. There's Zarantia coming out from the desert to go reclaim that little Toluk there. Toluk is led by a gun runner. His goal is to sell guns and then leave. And then you get to figure out what happens after he leaves and sells guns. So, let's say North Zebrica is essentially kind of the preeminent continent so far. Obviously, Zebrica is very much like in progress. There is more that we aren't able to cover, unfortunately. Chai Tall does exist. And we do have one more item we need to talk about. You're good to click that. It's that entire thing that got one episode, and then Hasbro decided you are getting memory hold. So, welcome to Kiria. Kiria this time is a lot bigger, but still the lore is matching up with the show. Applejack and Fluttershy did go to Kiria and ended up ending what is basically called the Silence. Obviously, in our timeline, the Silence was a little bit deeper than just Kieran deciding not to talk. But now they've essentially kind of opened up, and they have a big old plan called the Grand Gallop Forward, and which is kind of basically your main item that you will be interacting with early on. If things all work, you can go get Rain Shine, or you can get Autumn Blaze. We all love Autumn Blaze, right? Oh yeah, I forgot I had the Autumn Blaze card.
That's the secret path. The secret path is where everything goes right.
It's the secret path, in that it happens often. But let's say very often things don't go right, and so. And for another thing, as we go back, so if things don't go right with the Grand Gallop Forward, let's say Kiria gets a little bit blown up, gets a little spicy. We get some new actors, and they have their own ideas about what they want to go do with Kiria. Anyway, moving forward, passing over to my friend here to go talk about his content.
Yes. Recently, I have become a project leader for one of the nations that Cyrus has been working on. If we all know or don't know, Cyrus is one of the, what's the one of the original founders of the mod?
He was not among the founders, I don't think, but he was essentially one of the top figures of the mod for a very long time before he finally stepped down for his own reasons.
Yes. And one of those nations I got to work extensively under and writing. And after his departure, I was made the project leader. And now I get to show this to you, at what we have, a little fraction of what we have so far. And yes, we are still in Zebrica. This is the Great Lakes. And out of those 10 nations in the Great Lakes is Messagina. Messagina is basically, with all the other 9 nations or countries in there, they're fighting for control over the Great Lakes. Essentially, the Storm King came through, shattered the reigning empire, and now everyone's just trying to scramble to get the pieces all together. With the prophet, Almami Zakuris, he is based off of the West African, I think it was the Caliphate, was it? Basically, West African Islamic culture and whatnot. I have had to do extensive research into the source material to make sure that we portray it in a respectful manner and not a stereotypical manner, because, nuances and respect. But we've essentially delved it down to where after you conquer, depending on which faction you choose, which faction you have more support or gain support, will determine the outcome of the nation and of course the direction that it goes, and the abilities that you can unlock as well.
Good to go.
Not only does this mod completely overhaul the game mechanics, but it also has much more included. The many scripters, talented artists, composers, and others have added a cool amount of immense features to completely immerse the player. Between the special models that certain units have, depending on which race you pick, and the special abilities of each species,
Topping all of that, over 100 plus original soundtracks. We want the player to be immersed and to be drawn into the gameplay. Please do not resist.
My part. So, in my opinion, at the core, the main thing of Equestrian War is possibilities. Like the word art. The whole idea is that no two games of Equestrian War have to be the same, but the whole point is that you can play the same country a dozen different ways and get a completely different experience. Like for one game, you could be playing as Equestria, beautiful, lovely, and harmonic, or you could be stamping out that harmony under the Changeling boots. And whatever the Equestria you're up against, that can look like bloody anything. Maybe you play as Korea, and everything goes to shit, or you unlock the secret path I mentioned earlier, where everything goes right. Or you could be like me and just play, any other countries in Griffonian. We didn't even get to many of them. Or you can be like me and play Panelists Hippogriffia 100 times. It's the best part. Either way, the possibilities I was mentioning earlier go beyond just the game. You can expand beyond the game itself. What is it? What do you want?
I'm up next.
This is my panel. This is my fucking slide.
That's not very leftist thinking of you. It's our opinion.
Whenever you get in the mod, it can be a jumping off point for all sorts of funny shit. A common thing in the community is people to write after action reports, which is basically, here's what happened in my game. Make a cool story about it, or maybe you can literally write a story about it with prose and all that such. Or you can just, brag about a second circle that you got. It's fun. I think there's literally a million men in that circle.
Look at all these casualties.
Put it on the Reddit!
Real.
For it.
I do have one more item to show you. This is gonna work. Please work. Please work. I'm begging you. Oh my god.
Burn it. Burn it.
Why are you singing? I want to sing it, but I can't have the song as well still.
Burn it.
We all know. Welcome. Wait, where is our town? Well, could you believe? It is quite literally one province. So, as you can guess, it's a little bit of a challenge for us. But we're in the current process of basically reworking our town between the two lovely devs, Changeling and Kesman, who have so graciously granted us some of their content to show off. You basically get a lot of recognizable faces. You can keep that mainline equalism going with Double Diamond. Perhaps you want to get closer to Stalingrad. You can go for Party Favor. Perhaps you want to go reach Utopia. Night Glider might be your thing. Or Harmony. Well, you can have Big Mac's wife, Sugar Belle. Thought I'd get someone. And then finally, if you want to just go back to Republicanism, why don't you just go with the simp guy? But anyway, I want to focus on what is essentially kind of finished out development now, Night Glider. So her goal is to essentially kind of establish Utopia. She has lofty goals, and let's say she can end up in very interesting situations depending on what happens on the continent. Obviously, she doesn't really have any intentions on expansion, but obviously Equus has a lot of opportunities to bring danger to her. So it might grant her, as shown on this PowerPoint, some very interesting possibilities, including possibly, owning all Equestria. Which leads to the question of, how do I take that thing that I ran utopically for one city and stretch it across a whole continent? With force. It's a little bit difficult. And let's say she has some things to work out in her final tree there. But obviously there's a few more things I want to show from the developments that I've been so graciously been granted there. We have our greatest stallions, mares, the 3 different simps for Featherbank. We have some amazing icons, some amazing portraits. We actually have the intro tree for the rework, where you'll have a lot of choices on depending on who you want. And we have some spooky guy in the corner. I'm sure he's up to no good. And more important news, Glimmer! Glimmer! We love Glimmer, don't we? Wow, Glimmer. Wow, Glimmer. Anyway, we're good.
We got a wild Glimmer.
Wow, what? Wow, Glimmer. Wow. Anyway, Q&A.
Q&A.
You first.
So I guess two-part question depending on how the first one's asked. So the first question, are we allowed to ask any questions about future content? Is that something you're in a position to reveal?
So, we are basically, you can ask anything, it's just, we cannot guarantee we can answer it all. Obviously, if you're just asking what the next release is, I'm not going to tell you.
We are not the project leaders on what's coming next.
So,
I just draw.
So, yeah, you can ask whatever you want, but like, do understand there will be times where we'll just have to say no comment. So,
Okay.
and then your second part?
So to piggyback off of that, not is it coming next or what's coming next. I'm a big Roman history buff, and I noticed there's a little country on Zebrica called the Roman Kaiserate.
Oh boy, that interesting nation.
And it just likes to go to war with everything around it. But I'm wondering,
That is kind of the gimmick. There is. So what I can say.
is there some kind of plan there on
So,
maybe feeding into?
I feel like this is very kind of interesting to talk about. There has been discussions. I'm going to keep it as vague as possible, but yes, there has been discussions about that region. I don't know if there's been conclusions about it, but there have been discussions. I will leave it at that for the respect of other developers.
So one last thing then.
Yep.
Must Voltage be destroyed?
Yes. Yes. Voltage must be annihilated.
Yes.
You, cowboy hat.
All right. So let's assume that someone makes, like I'm writing a fanfic based on Equestria War. Does it need to follow? Because I know there's a historical AI version. Does it need to follow the canon lore of the game 100%?
No, absolutely not.
It's a benefit. So you have the creative liberties to what you want. Moonatik, well.
I said you earlier, so do you have a question?
Me?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
Oh,
damn.
We'll try our best. Hopefully the con might be a little bit forgiving and give us maybe a few more minutes afterwards.
So I was contacted a long time ago by somebody that said that they liked my OC design and wanted to put me in the game as an admiral for Equestria. I never heard back from them, and I figured, obviously that's probably not you guys. Probably not.
Probably not us. So,
Okay.
to give you the guys a quick dive on the OC policy that we kind of mentioned earlier, you can commission one of our artists on the team to make your OC, and it is possible, keyword possible, that you may be in the mod. You have to understand that we do have to talk with the developer and the head in charge of that nation, and they do have to agree to it. And there are nations that are off limits. Sorry guys, Equestria has been off limits for OCs for a long time. Because everybody there. So there are nations that are off limits, but generally if you commission one of our artists and do ask about it, they will ask the dev lead, and usually we'll be able to find a place for you guys to play your OCs. Anyway.
Couldn't tell if it was Equestria or American or some one or the other.
All right, Moonatik, why don't we hit just left to right? All right, I'll try. Keep your hands up if you got questions, just there. All right, you?
Any place for dragons?
Dragons are a very much interesting development. I say interesting, they're very difficult to develop because they very much don't mesh with the design of the game. There are ideas with dragons. We do have people working on items for them. But as for the nations, I cannot guarantee anything. That's kind of like a very well-known, difficult spot for development. Okay.
There are steps being taken towards the dragons, but to do that, we have to basically wrestle with the game's vanilla mechanics itself, just to like modify it. It can be done, just takes a lot of time.
Also, the dragon nations themselves are in very inconvenient locations for development. But yeah.
We have so much on Equestria, and then we just have dragons.
Yep. All right. Make sure to keep your hands up. All right. What's up?
Have you ever? Has there ever been any kind of project to modify other Paradox games, or is that just?
There is. I cannot comment on them. But yes, we do have like ideas to branch out into other games, but like there's nothing. I don't want to say anything that's concrete. There are things happening. There is an EU4 I know that has had some teasers. I'm not going to say much on them because I'm not a part of that team and I'm not fully capable. But yes, there are some teams trying to develop for that. All right, next person. Let's fire around this. Next, right there, wavy guy, right there. So sorry if I have to. Oh, did we lose something? Okay, yeah.
Will there be a fourth continent?
There will not be a fourth continent. There are ideas for islands, which will be inhabited by existing nations, but there is no idea for a new continent. We're not even done with Zebrica. Yes, we actually did recently complete a project to try to shrink that ocean a bit, and then there will be islands there. So yeah.
We are flexing on the mod so hard that we've removed part of our map.
Okay, let's keep moving. Let's keep moving. To the back. Wait, actually, Moonatik, to the back. Okay, well, we're just gonna. I'm gonna try to rush as much as quickly as possible.
So, like, how detailed is like the map borders you have for like your history? So, like, say like 100 years before games start, do you have ideas what the borders were?
We actually, map-wise, we do not, but we do have an entire timeline on our wiki that stretches for literally thousands of years, which kind of basically has events leading up to why things are as they are in the mod. As said, the Griffonian Empire has a lot going on. So we do not have maps, but we do have a timeline of basically events that you can read and kind of try to keep tabs on what's happening. All right, next question.
Next.
Hey, is there going to be any additional content for the Dread League ever?
Yes, there is a in-progress rework for the Dread League. I think I've heard it's just picked up. It's tied with another nation called Grimcliff, which are bugs that are based in the northeast. Those two are tied together. But yes, there is work coming to the Dread League.
Does that
also include the Night's Watch, Arturian League?
That's interesting. I actually don't know off the top of my head, but probably. Okay, yep, him, all right.
And we gotta snake our way to the
First of all, we're on the dev team. Second, I like the text, the racial text for every different race. Like you have Griffins, Hurons, even polar bears. But a lot of them just the generic text trees. They're not finished out. They're not fleshed out. Do you have what are the next races that you have priority with developing individual text trees?
So that's very much tied into what nations are being developed, but the ultimate goal is that every race will have, okay wait, I want to be very careful when I say that. Every race should be getting a tech tree. It just ties into when their nations get developed. Obviously, if a nation does not have content, we don't really have incentive to go give them a tech tree because playing there are some sickos out there who play the default trees and then go ask us to update them. Those people are crazy.
So the answer is it would be ideal, but you also have to remember that this is an all volunteer group.
So yeah, we're working towards it.
I will tell you, in progress, the Yetis are pretty sick racial tech tree.
All right, let's go to the front.
All right, extreme rapid fire questions from the EAW's discussions chat.
All right,
Is there any shipping in the new content?
So the new content, if I remember the focus, is there? Oh my gosh, there's so much with it. I'm not gonna leave any hints, but maybe.
All right, Ardent Scars says hi.
Hey.
Hi.
New Starry Light Night content when?
New content when? 2 weeks.
Understandable. Is Night Glider a lunarist?
Is Night Glider a lunarist? No, she is not.
Okay, cool. That's all.
Okay.
New Maryland rework?
New Maryland rework?
It's 1984.
Rework does not exist.
Last call. Raise your hand if you have a question.
Yeah, real quick then. When you guys get the map finalized, are you going to loop it like the vanilla map, or is it going to stay?
Well, that's kind of what we already did. The map, the ocean is that large. Yes, the intent.
Oh, it has been. Okay,
Yeah, it has been the ocean tiles are bigger, so it is possible to there. We're going to add islands, but yeah, the ocean is kind of that big. All right, next, rapid fire.
I'm going to ask you specifically.
All right.
Are you going to mess up the mayor path for Las Pegasus? What are you doing with it differently? Because that's my favorite path.
My goal is to keep the mayor path, keep what is great about the mayor path. I'm just intending to add on to make it even better. Yes! All right, next question.
How many people are you working on this, and how has this changed over the years?
Repeat that again?
How many people are you at? How has this changed over the years?
How many contributors? How many people have worked with Mon? Okay, a lot. I could not name off the top of my head personally. So we've had a lot of people who come in, do stuff, leave, and there. So there's been like probably, I assume, over 100 by now.
The thing is, though, we do hold everyone, or the mod itself, because of the absolute quality that we all strive for and keep striving for. We usually take on the, if you want to join on the volunteers and whatnot, you have to be able to basically produce and improve on your own quality too, as you know, we try to strive for the best to give the community.
All right. You.
How will the Southwest Equus rework affect the Buffalo Chiefdom integration focuses for Equestria?
So that is tied into a lot of discussions we have been having. That's the whole Civil War stuff is there. There's an entire separate, so the Buffalo are both getting their Civil War and their non-Civil War rework. We are over time, so I'm going to like process this quickly. But yes, so essentially there's going to be an entire new system. If JPEG were here, he would probably be able to hopefully explain it if we had more time. But yes, there is going to be changes to that. The Buffalo, I think the idea is a little bit less on trying to just make them a nation that just gets integrated, because it's a little bit boring, but just short and sweet. All right, any more questions? There. We're going to keep going until I guess we get kicked out.
What's the difference between horses and ponies? I know there's a nation and a really
Same
far
thing.
south.
It's basically same thing as the show. The horses look oddly larger and more like real horses. Ponies are smaller, and horses also, I think, only have unicorns and ground or earth. I don't think they have Pegasus at all.
They are in the region that I am developing in, and there are some differences between the ponies and the horses. We will flush that out as we go.
All right. I think, is everyone good? We good to wrap up? I did want to get a picture of everybody, so. All right, we're good to wrap up. Let's wrap up.